And so, Lou, when you talk about juniors, you know, what stats should juniors be tracking, as far as what stats should they be tracking?
Yeah, that's always, I get that question a lot, and that's a really good question. And I'll kind of give you a really long answer on that. And I'll start off with it. It really depends. And sometimes the one thing that really comes into play here is the personality of the player. I am very meticulous when it comes to tracking stats, and I do it while I'm on the golf course. So I have a system and a method for tracking my information when I play that I've been doing for 25 years. And I go through and I keep track of a significant amount of information on the scorecard, and I do that after each hole. And it takes me maybe 10 seconds, 12 seconds to write it down. And I've been doing it forever, so it just becomes second nature for me. But not everybody is wired to work that way. Not everybody wants to do that on the golf course. And so what I've found with players like that, most players, especially when they get to be better players, can remember every shot they've hit. And so after the round is over, I'll ask them to record shot level detail. Recording shot level detail is, for an elite player, is really important. It allows you to get to strokes gained for each of the four major categories, that being off the tee, your approach shot game. So think of that as your iron play, around the green, so chipping and pitching, and then putting. Those are the four areas. And when you keep shot level detail, you can understand how well you're doing in each of those areas. And that can really help you to focus your practice efficiently. So when you know what you are doing well and what you're doing poorly, yeah, you can focus your practice time on the things you're doing poorly to know you're working on the right things. And so I would always encourage someone to try to get to shot level detail and keeping track of everything at a shot level. And so what that means is, let's say it's a 400-yard hole, and you hit your tee shot 300 yards. I'm just going to make it easy on the math here. You have 100 yards left. You're in the middle of the fairway. You're tracking that you hit the tee shot about 300. You're tracking that you're in the fairway. You're tracking that your approach shot is from 100 yards. And after you hit your approach shot, then you're tracking where it ended up. So it ended up 23 feet from the hole, and you're keeping track of all that information as you go. There's a number of apps out there that do that. Decade is one of them. I'm good with, for junior players, I'm good with whatever app works best for them, as long as they're doing it. And if a player doesn't want to quite get to tracking that much detail, like let's say it's more of a beginning player and they're not quite at an elite level as a junior player, and I always get this: what's the most important stat I should track? And I never give one. I give two stats that are really important for somebody to track. And one is, how many penalty strokes do you have? So we want to eliminate penalty strokes. So track how many penalty strokes you have. So that's hitting it out of bounds, hitting it into the water, and hitting it into foot tall grass that you have to take an unplayable and drop out of. Start tracking your penalty shots, and then track your greens in regulation. How many greens are you hitting? Those are two basic stats that anybody can track. It's really easy to do, and start monitoring that as you play, trying to make your greens in regulation go up and your number of penalty strokes go down. So those are the simple ones that I would recommend a player start with if they're not quite ready for shot level.
And that's good, Lou, because